Welcome back, everyone. This is Emily Gear. I'm a multidimensional channel and a transformative energy healer. And I'm back today with your weekly reading. This week is a big week. We have quite a few astrological events going on, including a solar eclipse. And we're going to generally be getting information for the week ahead, just guidance and direction for us. And this will include all of those major shifts that are coming in. So we'll just see what we have to say here. This might be a fairly short reading. One of my dogs was recently diagnosed with cancer, and I have been in quite a state, as you might imagine, since they are part of my family, and more than that, I treat them like my children. And so he actually has an acupuncture appointment shortly. So we're going to, not only am I emotionally kind of maybe not in the best place, but we have to leave soon. So in any case, please keep a good thought for him and pray for us and for me, please, if you pray. So that's what's going on with me. Lots of stuff going on, but I definitely wanted to come on here and make sure that I gave you guys the messages for the week. And when I was actually just starting to get ready, the message came through about trust in the seen and the unseen. So I feel like the message of trust has been coming through for a little while, and that is sort of really still part of what we're being asked to do here. I feel it's kind of like being asked to trust in what is around the corner, not being able to necessarily see it. But also not necessarily rejecting what is on the surface. So an integration is what they're saying of your experience at this time, what you're experiencing internally, what you're experiencing externally, that they're mirrors of each other, and that there are important messages in there. And to trust that the message is coming through and that you're experiencing something for a particular purpose, that it is not senseless, whatever it may be. Okay, so I'm shuffling the cards here. Let me just flip it over to, there we go, to the video. We're using the Everyday Witch Tarot today. So I'm just asking Source Creator for messages for the collective, please, for the week ahead. Today is 6/19. So roughly for the next week. All right. I've got the Star, the Four of Wands. I did not do reversals this time. Four of Cups, and I'm going to take one more, Six of Wands. All right, renewal is the first word coming out. Oh, here's the Chariot coming up. First of all, the Chariot is the card for Cancer. We are entering Cancer season with our solstice. Underneath that Chariot, here's the Five of Cups and the Fool. That really feels a little bit to me like I want to stay starting over with these deep emotional energies and anything that may have been holding you down. There's a renewal with the Star card here of your perspective. And I think I'm afraid to say it's a little bit of a rest, frankly, because for me, Cancer season is never a rest. I have a sun and moon conjunct in Cancer and some other planets as well, and it usually brings up a lot of stuff for me emotionally and even as far as like emotional patterns and family patterns. So that may still be coming up, but honestly, that's where we've been for quite a while. So I want to say that at least in this next week, there's some rejoicing, even maybe there's a renewal. There is a breath of fresh air. We've got the Four of Cups with the Six of Wands. So something that has been really feeling unfulfilling might be showing new promise, or it could be that if there was something unfulfilling going on, that something new presents itself. We do have the solar eclipse, which often represents a new beginning. There's also the beginning of the summer season with the solstice. And so I do feel a lot of this beginning energy. I feel like this is something very positive coming in and ending this kind of, her sweatshirt says over it, kind of ending this period of feeling dismayed or burdened or dissatisfied. These, and I don't want to get you too worked up about some huge thing, because this renewal feels gentle. It doesn't feel like a huge explosion on the scene or anything like that. It feels like a gentle internal embrace almost. It's very motherly is kind of the feeling I'm getting. And yet it provides you the nurturing and stability that you may need right now after everything that we've been through, both personally and collectively. And that doesn't, I'm almost feeling like this feeling may be contrary to some of the things that are happening around you, but it feels like a renewal on the inside, in the sense that there is an inner calm there, an inner cleansing, an inner, like, still waters run deep kind of feeling, where there's a still and deep water within you, a well within you, and you are able to access it, and it provides you with the water of life that is needed to persist and to overcome whatever the stuck energy was with the Four of Cups. Okay, what other messages or what else do we need to share, please, with the collective? Wheel of Fortune. So that certainly supports the idea of a change or a shift. The Hierophant. It was the Hierophant card that I looked at in another deck. I was trying to pick which deck I was going to use, and I just caught sight of the Hierophant card and the Emperor. Caught sight of the Hierophant card, and that's when I heard faith in things seen and unseen. So Wheel of Fortune with the Hierophant and the Emperor. And this to me feels a little bit like that idea of seeing around corners, having the faith that the right or the highest and best is being done in your life, and you don't need to control it. With the Emperor here, what I'm getting the feeling that it's more about allowing God to be in control, the universe to be in control, your higher self to be in control. There's a surrender and a release here with this renewal. And it's possible that the renewal that I'm feeling is indeed a surrender, because that in itself is renewing. When we release control of something, then we are releasing some kind of habit or structure that we are used to operating in. And that the real power lies in faith of some sort. Now, I'm also feeling that it's not really just like I don't want to say a blind faith to a higher power, but it's a faith in your own ability to persist. And it's a faith in what you are, and that you are not destroyed. You somehow, and it may be, how, what is what did Einstein say? Energy is neither created nor destroyed, only transformed, or something like that. I don't know. I should look these things up. But what I feel like is you persist. No matter what, you persist. And this is the thing that you can have faith in. And you are in that persistent part of you, is that part of the divine, is that part of God, is that part of the universe, whatever it is that, works for you. And so there is something that can never fail. It can never cease, because it does not cease to exist. And that in itself is sort of a comfort and a stabilizing factor. I feel like at the root of all of our fears is this fear of ceasing to exist, right? You might call it the fear of death, but really what it is like this fear of not existing anymore, that somehow we go away. And this to me is saying you do not go away, that no matter what, you persist. And things are getting better, is how I feel with this Wheel of Fortune being here. And so that we can have faith in that, we can have faith in our place in the universe, our connection to source energy as part of source energy, having that creative ability to create your own reality in not only an active way, but in a surrendering way, where we simply are. We are simply able to be in the moment. And when we can hold a high level of alignment and coherence in the moment, we are creating from the place of simply being. Release control of the situations. Whatever situation it is that you're in that is bothering you now, there's a need to release control. And have faith. And trust yourself. To, in the moment, in the now moment, when your power is, when you actually can take action, to know that you can have faith and trust in yourself and your ability to make choices and act in the moment. Hanged Man, Six of Swords, and Three of Swords. All right. So first of all, there's a martyr stereotype, or a martyr archetype that's being healed here. Sorry, I'm covering the cards. You can't see them that well anyway in this light. And I want to say, I'm getting all of these downloads right now about how the martyr actually seeks to control on the shadow portion of that archetype. Okay, because there's a light and a dark to each of these archetypes. And the martyr controls by sacrificing themselves, by provoking guilt or shame or something like that in other people. And there's something that's being healed in you regarding that, whether you have been a victim of people who play the martyr all the time, or maybe, and honestly, the reality is, if you've been the victim of someone playing the martyr, you are also probably active. That archetype is probably also active within you. You are probably martyring yourself in some way. And that this creates broken hearts all around with the Three of Swords here. This creates, they're showing me a dynamic of being less than, that you have to somehow diminish yourself in order to make something happen. And this renewal is really about being in the fullness of who you are, including claiming your divine heritage, your divine right, your connection, essentially your connection to source. That martyring yourself over and over again. And I'm actually hearing like Christ sort of representing that last martyr, that last sacrifice. Obviously it wasn't the last martyr, plenty of martyrs came after that, but needing the idea, I think it even says somewhere in the Bible that Christ is the last sacrifice, who sacrificed himself for everyone else. And of course there are many examples of that throughout the world in different and various cultural stories, but that's the one that I'm most familiar with. So this is an end to that pattern. I feel like a healing of that pattern. There is no need to martyr the self. There's no need to continue to stay in the energy of pain or hurt, to hold a torch for something painful or hurtful, to sacrifice yourself in a way that does harm. I feel like this renewal is about clearing that very old pattern, that very old, what's it called? I don't know. I'm seeing a grid. So I don't know what they really mean, but what they're showing me is a grid. It's like a grid, almost like a net or a grid over us, and it's like it's being pulled off. So whatever that means to you, but I feel like it's a blueprint. It's a very old blueprint that is within most of humanity, is what they're saying. So that is part of the renewal that's happening here. And it's an empowerment, really, at the end of the day. Because what we're doing in the martyr state is trying to empower ourselves by disempowering ourselves, trying to gain power by disempowering ourselves. And it doesn't work, right? It creates pain, it creates wounding, which perpetuates throughout the generations, they're saying. The opposite of this is a nurturing archetype, which is what came up initially with the star card for whatever reason. This is not normally what I would associate with the star card, but it's what came up, death. Total transformation. So I feel like this is a really, really positive period. When the death card comes up in a reading like this, it just tells me that there's a regeneration there, that there's a renewal, that there's an end and a beginning together. Page of Wands. Here's your beginning. So your feet might feel a little unsteady in the beginning when you sort of take in this renewal and this new perspective, or this new way of being, simply being in the energy of who you are and the bigness of that, and the monumentality of being part of God, of inheriting that birthright of creation, active and sort of, I don't want to say active and inactive, but active and a more receptive type creation. So you may feel a little unsteady at first, and I want to tell you that the feeling I have right now is don't judge it. Don't judge it. Just be okay with it and an acceptance of it. You're not doing it wrong. It's new. It's like being like training wheels on a bike. I'm also feeling a huge wave of like compassion energy. And so that's something you're going to want to take in and you're going to want to use for yourself and everyone around you. That is super important because, frankly, when we don't want to look at ourselves, we start showering our compassion, our love, our devotion on others. It's important that we are looking at ourselves. So here's your compassion, your love, your devotion. Queen of Cups just came up. That needs to be for everyone. And know that, so I've literally done sessions with people who are like, I feel like I can't, it's not right for me to give myself, take time away and take whatever. And the truth is that I don't want to say it's pathological, it's certainly not pathological, but it is a deflecting mechanism for us to dote so heavily on the things outside of ourselves. It means we are not looking at ourselves. So many times it's the way for us to cope with not wanting to see who we really are. And so there's a part of this whole change in perspective which allows us to be more the fullness of who we are as an emotional being, as a being with an inside and an outwardly directed energy, okay? So we're really good at outward directed energy. We can help other people, we can do things, we can accomplish, we can achieve. But how well do we then preserve? Because when we do that, of course, we affect the whole. Everything is interconnected, as you know. That doesn't mean that this does not feel like a period of total introspection. I feel like there is forward movement here, but I feel like it is more in a balanced plane. Here's your forward movement, your Knight of Swords. Sorry, this freaking light. And here's your Ten of Wands. So that to me feels like... Actually, I'm hearing the words moving on despite the pain. So that might be relevant to some of you. For others of you, I think this is really about being fed up with the burden of not being in acceptance of all the parts of yourself, of all the things you really are, you truly are. We keep those things in shadow, even things that are good, or objectively positive. I mean, at the end of the day, everything is sort of like, it's all a gray area. It's hard to say something's good or bad. However, we will shove certain things into shadow as a protection mechanism. And I think that this is sort of being fed up with that sense of holding a secret burden, if that makes sense. And that's where the self-compassion is coming in. Okay, now we've got the Eight of Cups with the Six of Cups. So this is another release of I feel like childhood trauma. That may be the burden that you are sick of bearing, and frankly entering into fourth house Cancer season. It may not be your fourth house, but in general, the fourth house Cancer season. Your childhood wounding certainly does come into play. So this to me feels like a really, I want to say a strong departure from any of that kind of energy you may still be holding on to. Now, I know we've been releasing a lot for a while, but this is going to be part of this shift. The shift is the most important thing here, though, with the Star card. So if you're feeling confused, it can be really overwhelming to be in your emotions so much, and this is an emotional season. So if you're feeling confused, think back to the inner child and the burdens that child is carrying, because for a lot of you, that's going to be where some of these burdens are. That you're just going to be like, I need to let this go. And I know the feeling of being like, I know there's something I need to let go of. I know there's a burden I'm carrying, and I just can't tell what it is. Because when it's you, it can be really easy to get stuck up in this sort of mental cycle, mental circle. Okay. So follow that and follow the feeling in the heart space. That will lead you to what's going on, to where, what needs your attention. All right, so let's get a few of these cards. These are Keepers of the Light Oracle. There's so many different oracles. I forget what they're called. Keepers of the Light Oracle. Let's get a few of those to wrap this up with. A few cards for the collective for the next week. Interestingly, we have Joan of Arc come up, and we were just talking about martyrs, and she was indeed a martyr. This card says, Voice of Truth, stand strong, focus on your purpose, release the fear of persecution, and speak your truth. So that may be another manifestation of this martyr archetype, releasing the fear of persecution. What else do we have, please, for the collective for this week? Whoa. Paul the Venetian, experiencing grace. Share your gifts with grace. Waves of inspiration and love are coming to you. So share your gifts with grace. That feels in alignment. And it's a little bit like how we want to help other people, we want to direct ourselves outwardly, but to do it with grace, we need to have shared with ourselves first. And then we can be the most grace-filled, not necessarily graceful, but grace-filled servant to others that we possibly can be. This is also about being in the state of being, experiencing grace. This is allowing that to come to us without our having to do anything, without our deserving it, or it just comes to us. It's a reaction of the alignment of our being, okay? It's not a reaction to what we have done or outwardly projected, if that makes sense. And we were talking about that as well. And finally, I have Lord Shiva, Transcendence. Rise up, honor your inner force, steps are being given, dance with the universe. So we had the Death card, very much like Transcendence. Steps are being given. That struck me too, because it feels like that sense of not being able to see around the corner. I keep bringing that up. And this is like transforming yourself in a way so that you don't need to know. You can simply trust in the things seen and unseen, which is exactly how this reading started before I even started recording. Honor your inner force. How many times have we said basically that in this reading? Your inner power. You do not cease to exist. You persist. You are stronger than you think you are. You are more powerful than you think you are, and you don't need to do anything but be in alignment. So these are the messages that I have for you for this week, for the solstice, for the solar eclipse, for it's a new moon in Cancer. I got to start looking this stuff up. Doesn't matter. There's stuff coming up. I appreciate you guys so much, and thank you for all your comments and your likes and subscribes and your shares. Welcome to you guys who are new. I guess I should have started with that instead of ending with that, but there are a few new folks on there. I appreciate you so much. I look forward to talking to you again next week. Till then, see you later. Bye.